It's strange stops and stories. The Adventures of Ryan and Billy.
Right, so let's talk a wee bit about how we met Ryan. Let's go back for the very start and go for the start of the organisation that you...
how we met Billy? So we met in a sex club in Amsterdam. No, we didn't. It was in Paris. So a couple of years ago, I went through a bit of bereavement, a couple of bereavements actually. My brother died in 2018. I never dealt with my grief, so I thought, my wife told me either I sort it out or she fucks off. So I thought, right, I better go and sort this out. So I joined Andy's Man Club, Monday nights at 7 o'clock. Clubs up and down the country, if you need it, go. And went there for a couple of years, on and off to start with, and then I became a bit regular. I'd started just before lockdown, then lockdown happened. I went from 27 stone up to about 30 odd, 32, 33 stone, and sort of never really dealt with stuff, but then I went back to Andy's Man Club and then stuck at it and sort of dealt with my shit. And we were travelling through to Glenrothes every week, and I thought, nah, we need to do something about this. So I reached out to the guy, the sort of area person that runs, the regional person, and I was like, look, can we start a club in Leavenmouth? They said no, we've not got the resources to do that now. And then, so I was at him for ages and ages and ages, and then finally he was like, fine, if you want to start it, go for it. And I was like, cool. So me, my pal John, and my pal Jim, who's recently passed away, God rest you, Jim, we went and we started up the club in Methil. And like I said, I had obviously my issues at the time. I was struggling with the grief of my brother, and then my sister had passed away as well, and I had really, really bad health anxiety, and walks Billy.
So basically so my dad had passed away, and then my mother had passed away. So it was a stage in my life where I was going through a lot of grief. And then through all of this, I was actually handling it pretty well. Well, this is what I thought. And until I found a lump, and then I went to go and get it checked. And then through that process of between getting checked and getting the results and stuff like that, things just got on top of me. All the stress, waiting around, and just thinking, this is going to be bad. Like, I just had that gut feeling, like, this is going to be bad, to a point where, like, I was thinking bad thoughts. I was struggling to even look my daughter in the eye and think that she was going to grow up without a father, basically. And that was tough. That was one of the hardest, darkest days, where she would open my door to my studio in the house, and without looking at her, tell her to close it, just because I couldn't handle looking at her, which was really, really tough when I look back on it now. Just because as soon as I looked at her, it just sparked thoughts of, you know what I mean, like sadness and depression, and why I was going through that. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and just think, and just try and feel for that lump. It was my first thought, and it was my last thought of every day. So I knew, so basically when I got checked, it come back that it was fine, but then it wouldn't go away, this thought, and I started to get other pains everywhere else from stress and grief of what was happening. So I was basically, through stress and grief, making my body sick and making me trigger thoughts. And me and Ryan spoke about this before, about Ryan's went into more of a professional field of why health anxiety actually works and how it works. So what happened was, I had to go and get help. So I said to the missus, I was like, there's Andy's Man Club just started up, and it was actually Ryan's video. He'd done a short video of the first, I think it was maybe a week before it opened.
It was a week, and it was a sort of, we're starting next Monday if you're needing help.
That type of thing. Aye, that type of thing. So I seen, and I was like straight away it was Ryan's face that I seen first, and I said to the missus, I was like, right, I'm going to have to do something, and this is not too far away. I feel like it's something I can do.
I can mind the message.
So
you said,
I
right?
messaged you, and I just says, listen, I'm struggling here. I need to come down. I need to try and do something. And you went, right, it's here. The first week I couldn't actually physically get out of the house. I was bricking it, absolutely bricking it, and I just couldn't get out the door. So the second week was my first week. I walked through the door, seen Ryan, seen a few other people, seen Big Jim. Big Jim was one of the first people that I seen, and he sort of talked me through the do's and don'ts of Andy's Man Club. And basically, like, if you don't know, you get a ball, an Andy's Man Club ball, and when that ball comes to you, it's your time to talk.
And you can talk about what you want, really. So there's sort of 5 questions that, and we've not been to Andy's Man Club in about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Partly, but know that we didn't evaluate anymore, but actually it helped us. It did the job,
Yeah.
and actually we came where it is if we need it. But we did the work, like Billy said. I went to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and went and done loads of work. Billy did loads of sort of self-help stuff and that, and we're all right now in regards to that. It doesn't mean we're no grieving.
It was getting to a point where we were going to the classes and everybody was going through hell, and we were almost taking their time, like their special time. Like we were eating up, because you only get 2 hours, and it felt like, well, me personally, it felt like I was eating up people's time by going, by the way, I'm alright this week, like I've had a great week. And when people are in so, like, some people are going through hell, you know what I mean, and it's sometimes you didn't want to see somebody across to you going, by the way, I'm fucking fantastic this week, you know what I mean. It's like,
I mean, it's good to get the positive stories, but I can what you mean. It's like it served its purpose, and if I ever need it again, I would go back.
oh, I definitely.
I'm all right, sort of thing. I've got other cope mechanisms now that actually that allows other boys to go in and take it on. Like for me, I was always worried about, like, because I was the person one of the folk that started the club. If I left, would it continue? And actually, it did, and it's flourished. And there's new guys that are now taking other facilitators roles and the leadership roles, and
Yep.
are driving it forward, and they've got the passion and the dedication and stuff. So,
Yep.
and it's nice to see that it's still going. And I didn't need to be there for it to do that, and it's got bigger and better. But if you ever go to an Andy's Man Club, it's you go in and you sit in a circle.
Yep.
And there are 5 questions. The first question is, now, they might have changed this because it's been a year and a half, but I think it's still the same. It's, how's your week been? And you just give a quick, shite, great, amazing, whatever.
Yep.
Question 2, something good for your week that's happened, so you can tell a wee story
Something's
about
positive, aye.
something positive, something this. And then question 3, which is probably the big question, which is something to get off your chest. Now, what we used to say is actually it doesn't need to be something for this week. It could be something for any point in your life. So there were boys that would go there and would be like, me and Billy were obviously both struggling with the same stuff. We both had health anxiety.
Yep.
We were both struggling with grief, obviously a bit of depression and anxiety all through to that. So we were sort of there, but you had other boys that were worried about financial stuff. You had ex-military boys there that had seen shit in Afghan and Iraq. You had boys that had been sexually abused when they were bairns, and this was like boys in their 60s and stuff coming
Aye.
talking about when they were abused when they were 8-year-olds.
It's just hit them.
And it's the first time ever they've been able to speak about it.
Aye, definitely.
So it's quite powerful, sort of thing. So you go in there and then you get 2 questions. You have a bit of a break, bit of a breather, go and have a cigarette or a wee cup of tea or whatever. But no, it was, so we would do questions 5 and 6, which was, what's like, if you were to be in a band, what band would you be in?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last question was always a quick fire one that was, what's your favourite biscuit, or something like that.
Yep.
And that was it. And it's 2 hours, you get your chance, and like there are boys that go and that it's saved a lot of lives, you know what I mean? And
Definitely. Like when I first, the very first night I went, like I poured my heart out for about 15 minutes in front of strangers, And there's something beautiful about that. There's something very comforting to know that you're not being judged, because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's like gone through, like I say, hell. So, and basically, I remember I poured my heart out, and this was before Ryan had basically said anything about him. And when I got to me, I just talked about my health anxiety, talked about my problems, why I'm struggling, why I'm there, and just basically just blurted out everything that was just like kind of affecting me. And then when I got to Ryan, I remember when one of Ryan's first words to me was like you sound like you sound like me, kind of like you sound like you're going through exactly what I'm going through. And that was a bit of comforting. And then since then, like just the bond between me and Ryan was just a different ball game. And then once he found out that I worked in a studio and a music producer, and at the time, then it sort of just, because his love for music, his love for singing, and I was like, oh, come into my studio in my house and we'll do some. And then that blossomed to one of the big sort of things was Ryan was it for your wedding anniversary or for a Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day.
You can talk about it if you want.
I know, for Valentine's Day I recorded me singing me and my wife's wedding song.
And put it on vinyl.
Put it on vinyl, and it's in my house now in a cupboard. But aye, it's quite good, and that's sort of, so that's where we come from. And I think we've both got this, we've found this love of being creative, and actually this is where this has come from. It's actually two good pals having a bit of laugh, and I think because of what we've been through together, there's a sort of, it's a very different bond to anybody else I've got.
A brotherhood type of vibe. You know what I mean? It is very much kind of like anybody that talks about Ryan, I always say kind of like I love that man to bits. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of chunk in my heart. You know what I mean? Just because he helped me, I hopefully helped him as well.
Oh, you did, absolutely.
And it was a different ball game when you sort of climb through the trenches together.
And it's that like folk will come to me like, and I've got other amazing pals and people in my life, and they'll go, "Oh, that must be terrible what you're going through." But you can actually work in what you're going through.
Aye.
I get it. I've been there.
Aye.
I've walked through that.
Because you do feel like health anxiety feels silly.
See, in retrospect, like, see that, right? Like, so, for example, for anybody that's never had health anxiety, it's the moment, imagine, see when you get that pain in your stomach, and your instant thought is, oh, is that appendicitis or something quite serious? And then your rational brain will quickly kick in with, it's no, you just need to go for a shite.
Yeah.
Imagine no having the rational brain kick in.
Aye.
That's what health anxiety is. It's because that rational bit doesn't kick in, and that actually you're left with that feeling of
fear.
And actually what happens is, because you're tense and you're freaking out, that pain gets worse, and you're going, that's it. So even things like pains in the chest or whatever, you go, like, never ever think of pain. Like, if you normally get pains in the chest, that is quite scary. But actually, as you get older and you get a bit more stecky, it does get a bit safe, and that's normal. But actually, you constantly think, I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah. See, with me, it was, the only slightly difference was you were, a lot of majority of your health anxiety was because of your weight.
Yes.
A lot of mine was because of fear of cancer. That was one of the main things, because at the time I didn't know I had IBS as well. I've talked about that in the first episode. If all you hardcore Strange and Stop Stories fans.
His brother and sister.
But aye, and see when you're talking about cancer and you've got fear like finding that lump, and all of a sudden you're shitting blood and you don't know why.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like, woof. And that just, you go pure white and you're like, fuck, like, this again. Like, again, what, I'm going to go for blood tests again to find out if I'm going to die.
It was weird about health anxiety. See, when you get a blood test, you get quite excited, I know, because you're like, see when they tell you in the hand, you're like, oh, that's great, and you get a couple of days of fucking relief. And then
Aye, but it's almost like the dreaded part is picking that phone call to get it, to making that appointment. That's the worst part. And then when you've made that appointment, you get an overwhelming feel of relief. and then it takes maybe until that last couple of days before you're expecting that test, and then you're bricking it, absolute bricking it, because you can. It's almost D-Day. It's like shit. What's like? Now I'm going to like every time you get this blood test. Now, to normal people, like I say, it might feel very silly, because even when you think about it now, it can feel silly, because you're like,
No, massively. It's particularly so. For example, as we were driving and we've been doing this wee talk,
yeah,
I got a pain in my back. Now it's because I've got a knot in my back and I've been sitting in my car.
of course.
But there was a good couple of minutes where I was talking that I thought, oh, is this it? What? And you go through like this weird thing in your head where you go, right, if I have a heart attack here, does Billy came up today? I'm near Glasgow. Is there good hospitals in Glasgow? I'm on the motorway. How quick would an ambulance get here? And you've got all that in your head, and it's like buff. And now, obviously, I've done the work that I've now got coping mechanisms that's allowed me to go. I'm back to a baseline behaviour. I'm fine now.
Yeah.
But before, that would have been me for the day.
Yeah.
And I think what it is funny now is you look back at that wee moment where I got that initial twinge about 10 minutes ago, and I should have went that way. That's fine. We'll just go out. That wee twinge 10 minutes ago.
See, that's where me and yours is slightly different, because you are afraid of the sudden death.
Oh no, I'm shit scared of cancer. I always think I've got cancer.
But you're more like afraid of the heart attack. But
that's because the reasons for that is actually, like I said, my brother died of a brain tumour. My sister died of blood clots from the bowel, and they were both drawn out.
Where
my other sister died of a heart attack.
Well, where I understand that, but mine's is more of like, I almost feel like I would rather just strapped in.
Both done.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Then sit there and explain to my kids that I'm going to be leaving them, and you know what I mean. Like going through that whole process, it's like wow. Like I've already told my kids about their granddad and Nana passing away, and that was enough. You know what I mean. But to me, kissing my kid in the forehead, saying goodbye, it's like fuck that. No thanks.
Oh, I agree with you.
No thanks. So anyway, at the end of the day, we came through all this together, and we always said we wanted to do something together, even though if it was like an album or anything like that. We did do a couple of songs. We did do a couple of songs, but it was more on Ryan runs a theatre group, which is another thing that you'll hear about in time. And we'll probably get loads of footage in time. That's really quite smart, the way it was peeling off there. We came through together, and this is why we're doing Strange Stops and Stories. Just basically travelling around everywhere and doing something we want to do. Because I've had a career change, and
I'm looking for a career change.
Ryan's looking for a career change. So is this?
No, that's it. So that's where we started. So if you need help, a good place to start, particularly if you're a guy, is Andy's Man Club on a Monday nights at 7 o'clock. And
that's everywhere, by the way. Every club in the UK that's Andy's Man Club is always 7 till 9 on a Monday. So get involved.
And this wee section, Jim's dedicated to you. So God rest you, Jim. There'll no be another like you. Rest in peace, buddy.
I hope you're listening to the Saw Doctors up there, pal. And rest in peace, pal.
Same old faces, same old streets, same old people is all you